Peace.
18 months? That's 2 stream babies. Who is the father? Is it Lang?
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. Today we are joined by Mod, longtime friend of the channel, also keycap designer, Mr. Langelandia.
Hi, friends. How are you?
Good, good. What about you?
Don't mind
Dave?
me. I'm just finishing a game of Magic real quick. I'm closing Arena right now. Don't mind me. Don't mind me, you guys. I'm busy. I'll get back. I promise.
What colors are you playing? What's your
This game I chose a white deck. I've got a very annoying heal deck. So like usually if I'm winning that match, it's like 67 point health to their negative 15. Like it's good. But that's kind of where it ends. So yeah. I'm here now. I promise.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it do.
So, how you doing, man? How's your week been? You've been an empty nester.
It's been very interesting, with the wife and the kids gone. I just hung up with them. My younger son is like scream crying because he's overly tired, and they spent all day on the boat. Like so my wife has 8 aunts and uncles. And so that brings just an awful lot of folks together at once. So like they have a big amount of purchasing power. So they have like this huge mansion that they have rented for the week, and they have like pontoons and stuff because it's like, $80-$90 a person when you do that. So the boys were out on the lake all day. The son driving the boat.
Sun takes it out of you, man.
Yeah. And they're exhausted. And, he's 6. So he's like pissed off that everybody else is awake and he has to go to sleep. So I get it. But like, I love you. I want to help. I don't know what my FaceTime is going to do for you, though. Like, I want to do something, but I can't. Charlie, I know you don't drive you motor the boat. Yeah, motorboat.
Steer. Yeah, I was gonna say
steer.
Yeah,
steer.
I don't know. Right, drive implies a wheel, like wheels turning, as opposed to just the steering wheel. I don't know. Anyways, whatever.
Thanks for 20 months, by the way. Appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's fine. Like just sharing my sub while I'm talking. I can't believe it's been that long.
It's been 20 months, man. That's it. I mean, we're all just boomers of the hobby now.
Yeah, I know, right?
I've
got my silo of Vizzy.
It's like you were here in 2018. What?
Right.
You were buying things in 2018. It's like
what you were around for Hyperfuse and didn't join it?
Hobby, yeah, and we can't all be Neb.
Yeah, Neb, like 2014, 2013, like hobby daddy.
Yeah.
Notice
true.
me, senpai. Fucking guy.
True. Although the pace of the community is like picked up significantly. Like it felt relatively slow, whereas the pace now is just like things move at 1,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. So, real quick before we get into it, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors and partners. We've got OmniType, Canon Keys, Project Keyboards, and Kinetic Labs at the sponsors, and as well as Zap Cable, Smith & Rune, Type Beast, and 3D Keys at the partners. So, guys, he's been on the show like 80 bajillion times at this point. He's like the he's the honorary member. Him and DD Decline are the 2 honorary bench players.
the bench warmers.
The bench warmers, the 6 men of the year. He's got a channel over at twitch.com/Twitch.tv/Langelandia. He is the designer of Infinity Grain and Infinity Cafe. Welcome, Langelandia.
You're
to the
such a
stream.
bitch. You're such a bitch. Like
I told you, I literally told you I was going to do that this morning.
I know, and like it's so funny to me. Like, guys, we have cafe at home. Cafe at home is Infinity Cafe. It's fucking unbelievable.
I was gonna put
Unbelievable.
that as the background, but I couldn't figure out how to like properly make it like tile to where it would be legible. I didn't want to spend too much time on
Charles,
that.
this is your legacy.
But you know, I do have it here in the background, so we can bring it up.
As well as my build in the background right now.
We can bring it up here. You know, we can talk about it. There we go.
If there was a meme that I could ever be proud of, it's this one. I sent this to Lang, and like while he was in voice chat with me once, and he died.
I genuinely had to like take a break. I thought I took psychic damage. Like it was so funny. It was like 2d8. It was just fucking. It was
Right.
a lot. It was a lot, man.
To the temple.
What's up, Squid?
But for those who don't know, jokes aside, Langelandia is the designer of GMK Cafe, as well as Infinity Cafe, Infinity Grain, Infinity 808 Boom, SA Recall, and some more that are on the way. I can't remember the one with the strange legends.
Yeah, that's BS. That's basic standard.
Basic standard.
BS set.
So, lots of keycap designs. This is our third year doing Keyset of the month, or not Keyset of the month, but just Keyset Designer Month. It's kind of an interesting thing because this was Keyset Designer Month was kind of what set Mechs on Deck on the right path of what we do now. So it's always fun to come back around. We've got some familiar faces this month, as well as some new faces this month that I'm excited to bring on. But we're gonna get into it with some keyset design. So I want to ask first and foremost. This is just the olive branch question, the easy one. It's hard to design keysets nowadays because everything has been designed and everyone has laid their dibs claim to every colorway ever and then some. And if you do that, they threaten everything and lawsuits that no one would ever even look at, and all that stuff. So how do you even design keysets nowadays? Like every time I think of designing a keyset, I'm like, I just designed a keyset that already exists.
Yeah, basically 100%. Like every time you have an idea, you immediately like there's several in the back of my brain that I'm like, oh, that's just a variation of this thing that already exists. So it's a little bit like I would argue it's a little creativity, like just having the ability to be inspired by random things, but also luck. Like because you're like the ability to be inspired by things that lend themselves to a good or a relatively good enough colorway that it will get made, right? Because good is subjective, and the only goal I ever have with doing a set is that it gets made. Like I don't have this goal of like making a ton of money or like selling thousands of sets, even though that sometimes happens. As long as it gets made, I don't really give two shits. So that coinciding with the fact that that already doesn't exist in its exact form, then like that's where the luck comes into play too, I think. So I don't think there's a magic code. The one thing that I do think would really help is and we saw a really big surge of like new people designing sets with the creation of like the keycap render website. Like remember that? And yeah, there were a lot of like low effort interest checks out there, but like there's this barrier to entry that you have to have X dollars or like a massive amount of time to build up the skill of rendering in order to get like a proper interest check out there. So one thing that I am really interested to see is more voices from the less, prototypical keyboard crowd. Like there's a lot of, guys that look like me that are doing keyboard designs, right? Like where am I? We need a little more diversity in that. Not saying that we don't have diversity. However, I'm only one person. I only have one experience. People that look like me have a similar experience, at least. So I think it doesn't help me design keycaps, but at least it helps the hobby if there are more diverse people at the table, right? So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nick, thank you for the 9 months. Appreciate it.
Dr. Robotnik.
Dr. Robotnik.
Dr.
Dr.
Rodotnik.
Oh
God.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting watching the changes of how keycap sets are designed and are presented. And I don't want to sound like I'm trashing Symbiote. You have to go almost as far as Symbiote, where you have to make an alien themed fucking set nowadays, or it's a round 2, or it's the same person running a variation.
I don't know anyone that's ever done a round 2 of anything. They clearly don't have any ideas left. They're losers. It's the worst. As Cafe comes into round 2 soon. So that's the joke for anyone that didn't get it. Okay. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
dude.
Okay?
Let's get Rinsuya on here and let's say it to his face.
Let's say it to his face. The one person that's done more than one round of a thing is just Rinsuya.
Yeah. The only one. The only one.
Round 2 Losers Club. Mint Lotica. Hi, Susan. I hope
For
you're
those
doing well.
those who don't know, Mint Lotica will be on at the end of this month, the caboose of Keycap Designer Month.
The caboose was the most important part of the train for so long. So, I'm going to say
it's
most
an important
part of this month too, including
there
me. And I have an ego, friends. So.
But it's so unique to see, design, because I feel like every year, every 6 months, there's something holding designers back from being able to do more and more.
Yep.
We've the three of us have sat down and discussed one of these hindrances, which is novelties not being able to be even somewhat close, or people being able to step in and say no more novelties like this, or I have claimed everything under the sun, wink wink. So that's something else, because with keycap design, a lot of it is like, oh, what's a good theme?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but all hot beverages, that's mine. Okay,
You're the hot beverage queen.
If you're gonna run a tea set, that's a hot beverage. That's my IP. Okay,
I've got GMK cold brew coming up very soon.
This is actually really interesting, because also soup. The best food on planet Earth is soup. Fucking fight me, okay?
GMK Spotch win.
Yeah, GMK Spotch win. But no, this is interesting. Like I don't want to come off as like some kind of fucking like savior complex, right? But like there is a very good set that got group buyed and is getting made in SA Espresso, right? Like it looks awesome. And so I get this question. Honestly, my Discord server solely exists for questions about Cafe now. Nobody does anything in there except, when's GMK Cafe round 2? Like, are you doing any collabs? That's the only questions that get asked to my server now. That's about it. Like, we've got Sunday movie night and Cafe. But like, I get asked about SA Cafe kind of jokingly, kind of seriously all the time. And I'm like, number one, like SA is a profile that's fallen out of love. Nobody super loves that anymore, number one. But number two, like SA Espresso was a really good set, in my opinion, especially from like a coffee themed idea with that gradient and the colors.
Looking at it, it looks great.
Dude,
I think it's fantastic. So like, it's hard for me to be like, number one, some people are like, how do you feel about SA Espresso? I think it looks great. Good job. Well done. Like, you did it. Like, I'm not mad about that. You're like stepping on my toes, right? But at the same time, it's like, why would I be mad about that? Like, and also, why would I do SA Cafe like right after that? Like,
you don't own coffee?
I
I
just
thought
like
I
it's
thought
so
you owned hot
hard.
beverages. What?
So like, back to my rant that many people have made into meme raps and like ridiculousness. Like, why if I'm Mito, why am I so threatened by a set that is adjacent to what I do? Like I just the size, unfortunately, the size of some egos associated with keycaps design in this community is a very, very fragile, right? So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but I wanted to express the point that it's all creative. We all express ourselves differently. Like there's so many different profiles, there's so many different manufacturers, there's so many different theaters of the world and vendors. Remember that guy that was bragging about having 11 different proxies? Like, just get keycaps to people who want keycaps. I don't give a shit. Like I just don't understand what the hang up is. Like, it's so frustrating.
There's enough money and there's enough need and want in the market of custom keycaps at this point to support things that are similar. Like, and it is frustrating when you see, and when you were talking earlier about like you design something, you're like, hopefully this is different. It's bad even as a consumer, as someone who hasn't designed a set. When I look at GMK like interest checks now, my first thing is like, okay, well, what is this close to? And that's like, it's so toxic, and I hate that that's like a thing now.
That's the
But
I
it's the
try
first
and
place I go.
actively go against that, and that's the way my brain is wired to do that. Like, but I mean, and I thankful, like, I can't believe what this hobby has done for me. Like, it's helped me survive the pandemic and made some of my literal best friends in this world, two of which are on this stream right now. It's incredible. And has allowed me the ability to connect with some incredible people, and also like, grow as a person. People
Yeah.
ask me questions about keyset design, which number one is insane to me, but number two is so like humbling and wholesome to me. But like, I almost have changed how I like react to new sets, because I'm trying to think of it in like protecting the designer from that toxic thought process. Like, when someone sends me design, I'm like, number one, I either like it or I don't, and here are the things about why, and actually give real feedback. But immediately I'm like, just to prepare you, I promise that somebody's going to say it looks like this. Like, that's how I'm trying to change that, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of that part of me that's like trying to compare it to similar colored things, because I think that's just how we as humans exist. Like, oh, this color is similar, so of course I'm going to, put the two together. I'm going to conflate the two. But hopefully we can turn it around and make it a force for good. Like, I don't know.
Do you remember when Mizu got accused of looking like Olivia?
Oh my god. Do you remember when someone submitted a picture of Mizu that somehow looked like Cafe? The picture was so, I thought it was Cafe and realized it was Mizu. like colors are so fucky wucky. Like, Nebulant in chat understands this, okay? Like, color space and how we perceive color is so messed up, and is wrong. Like, how we were taught about primary colors, I'm learning, is so wrong. Like, it's just, and then once you factor in screens and like all that shit, it's just, we will never win that battle. Obviously, we've taken way like intense steps to make it better. However, we're just gonna lose every time. Like,
So was it
fucky wucky. I'm sorry, guys.
NYC says any super light alpha dark mod accent spacebar goes straight back to Olivia. That's funny because we were literally talking about that before stream started.
I think you meant to say carbon.
Yeah, carbon. Because I went through and I went to this website, and it's literally called matrixzj.github.io. And I'll post this link in the it's actually a very helpful link, and it shows you all the keycap sets and when they were in, like, in, or I don't know if it'll say exactly when they're released, You might have to like click. You'll have to like click and then go to like the Geek Hack post, but it's in order from the bottom of the furthest back, and I call it the safe colorway, which is dark mods, white alphas, black or very dark gray mods with alpha legends, and then an accent color. And there's like 4 or 5 sets that did it before Olivia. But Olivia was such a huge, there was this huge influx of people that came in right when Olivia started peaking.
Like the aftermarket was, holy shit, why
Yeah.
can't I get this right now? Right? Like, because it hardly hit MOQ first round.
Yeah.
Right?
It took 3 weeks to hit MOQ, and it took about 3 seconds for it to hit its quadrupled MOQ.
Yeah.
So it's just what baffles me is that concept, right? Everything gets related back to one key set, and that key set is not anything special. It's just that's the key set that people point back to. Because November 2018 was kind of when the hobby exploded.
God,
And
it just feels so long ago too.
Yeah, and that seems like a lifetime ago. And it's everything before that was just kind of, it's like, oh, that's just some old thing that exists, but whatever. And it annoys me when I hear people, oh, that looks like Olivia. I'm like, you should be saying it looks like Carbon.
Yeah. So a couple of things have popped into my brain because we're talking about the color space and how we perceive it. First of all, Squid, if there is a color blindness in you as a human, number one, I'm not sorry because we're all individuals and that makes you part of you. But trying to match colors, what a nightmare if you have some level of color blindness, right? Two, one of the things that always comes up because I'm a random brain person, okay? Like we talk about like how we perceive color and typically in like 3 channels as humans. And everyone's like, oh man, if we were mantis shrimp, like they've got like 12 channels of color perception. But you would be so fucked if you were a mantis shrimp.
GMK mantis shrimp.
GMK mantis shrimp. But here's the problem. You would be so fucked if you were a mantis shrimp because despite the fact that they can perceive more color, they can't understand. They don't perceive blends. So if you show a mantis shrimp the color purple, they see red, blue next to each other. So like, I don't think there's a better way to perceive it. Anyways, that's where my brain goes. Okay, like fucking ridiculous. Sorry. I reckon mantis shrimp would also think everything is ugly. Probably yes.
Yeah. Because all of the times
exactly,
that we
John.
put colors together that like don't actually fit, they would probably fuck with their brains.
And also, like the I forget the name of it. Nebulant. Don't come after me, okay? Don't come after me. The color wheel as we know it, I prefer, and I forget the name, the color wheel that shows like full on gradient style. So like you can understand, like if you pick 2 points, right? And you want to make a color that meets in the middle, like you start with different actual colors than you traditionally would from your original primary colors of the red, yellow, blue, or whatever it is. Anyways, GMK colorblind, where all the RAL colors aren't the actual ones you get. It's just random. Here's the IC for these colors, and then you just get a different set. Like, Anna!
Welcome
Hi,
to
Anna!
my world.
Anna of Cannon Keys fame. Hi.
Saw, dude.
What up?
Dude.
So we did a little poll today, I guess. Like what, 32 people, micro levels of
Favorite
of
key set is
input,
SA recall.
Of favorite keycap sets, just to kind of get a quick glimpse. It's from the Mechs on Deck Discord. 30 people filled it out. So take everything we are about to talk about with a grain of salt, because guess what? It's only 30 people, and there's almost 1 million on Reddit. So
Dude, it's crazy. Is it it's almost holy shit, it's 911,000 people on RMK.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember when we were stoked that it got to like 300K.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charles. Take it with a grain of salt.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. So
Somebody give him inspiration. Just
I love it.
fuck.
So we took a poll, asked your favorite key. We asked you to list 4 favorite keycap sets. Number 1, ironically, was GMK Cafe.
Hey,
It got
rigged. Fucking rigged.
Probably rigged, honestly.
It's fucking rigged. Okay.
Botanical came in at a close second. Modern Dolce, SA Godspeed, GMK Oblivion. So, oh, hello, kitty.
Oh, look at that floof.
Oh, the floof. So, there's some classics on here, of course. GMK Oblivion, SA Godspeed, to an extent, Modern Dolce. They've been around for a long time. Botanical. A lot of people like Botanical. It just won, keycap set of the year. It's a fantastic looking set. And I think that was kind of one of those slept on sets that 100% got more popular. Like that's the one thing about key sets that doesn't make any sense. I feel is a lot of a lot of key sets explode once they deliver.
Yeah.
And I almost like can never explain that because like Olivia exploded after it delivered.
Everything goes back to Olivia. It's so like it's not only not frustrating, but it's also very frustrating. Like it's
because everything does. At the end of the day, everything does. Dual shot kind of Modern Dolce was one that kind of you could point back to.
Shoko, DMG.
Shoko, DMG, where those sets were the emergency round 2s.
Yeah, like immediate round 2 of DMG, and then the shit show that led to Shoko round 2.
Yeah, and so just lots of sets that like really hit their stride once they deliver, which makes sense to a point because you can only be so hyped about it until you see it in person. But it's one of those it's one of these things that I keep kind of looking back to, and Botanical has kind of proven that any keycap set, green is not a popular color in this hobby.
No.
Green is traditionally green.
And
green
when
is
your menu
one
doesn't
of the
do a
worst.
great job, people get really upset about it. Rightfully so. I'm not discounting that.
Hey, you and I've talked about it. The color of grain was fine. Everything else was
color
terrible.
I was so happy with. The quality of the production is sus as fuck. So
yeah,
but
Mint Lodica knows I'll definitely be grilling her about
some green.
There's some green.
Oh man,
green is a tough one. But the sets that come out that are green, that are good, oftentimes explode afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that it just goes to show, because I have a message somewhere from Garrett from Omnitype that says I will never run another green set, and then it's all Botanical round 2. And I was like, let me write this on a sheet of paper and mail it to you so you can eat your words. But it's been really interesting, like observing keycap sets and how this hobby is reacting. And no, I think this hobby's frothing at the mouth for anything they can get at this point. But it's been interesting watching this happen, and especially at like the GMK level where it's like, oh, I need, I have to have the GMK set of whatever because, Infinity's at home and we don't want what's at home.
No. Okay, so a couple of things. One, I linked a TikTok page. It's a guy it's Fritz Does Art. He does videos of making colors like as perfect matches as he can, and just like for you as like a learning tool, if you're interested in like how some colors come to be in terms of like art, watch like what he starts with to get his end result. If you watch a few videos, you will go with, why does he start with that? That makes no fucking sense. And like from how we're traditionally taught how colors are built. So like when we talk about how green is fucky, how Neb brought up how orange is fucky. Like, you might start with a red for a green, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense why, but you do. Like,
Hmm.
so stupid. So just like how pigments work, how our eyes perceive them, what the media is, whether that's paint or print or sublimation or whatever that is, it's hugely different. So just I hope that folks understand that it is extremely hard. I mean, Nebulant is consulting for people on a professional level to match colors. Like, there exists a person that needs to do that because of how hard colors are. And not that anyone said colors are easy, but the
They're all
second thing
just
we have is
they're just
we
fucking
cannot do what's
crayons.
on your desk, boys. What's on your desk, boys?
Oh, I switched it out today.
Oh, you did?
Shit.
Yeah, I went to my
shit.
squid with the
Ooh.
Moyu blacks with the 69 gram. They're so snappy. I love it. Yeah. Speaking of green sets and green everything,
Mhm.
There you
There's a
go.
reason why there's
This is-
not a ton of green sets, guys. Like, there's a reason.
hard to do.
I
hard.
have a Smallest with 808 boom on it
There it is.
in a very
Ooh.
washed out, terrible face cam. Welcome to it, friends.
Hmm.
Terra is goated. Artisan Labs, hello, welcome to the chat. Nice to see you.
Speaking of green sets, I've also got a green.
Hey.
Olive, look at that!
This is a green OD green Baka 60 with olive.
Wow.
which
look at
I
that.
I feel like is a green set that maybe doesn't get as much love. I think it's solid. It just doesn't.
Listen, Olive is solid, dude.
It doesn't
Olive is
have the
solid.
same mystique as
It was
Olivia's
unfortunate-
first set.
It was unfortunate that Olivia had to copy Cafe to get
Yeah, true.
Olive. It's unfortunate.
True.
Hey, sophomore.
What a douchebag I am.
It's that sophomore slump. No, I'm kidding. I mean, look, Olivia literally is getting released in an aluminum keycap set.
Yes.
That's how ridiculously popular. Where
an MSRP of $350 for the TKL.
I
And
do.
it will absolutely get made. And like
oh yeah,
without question.
I do want to say I agree with Exo Squid. Olive better than Olivia. I agree with it because my thing is, and the reason why I have not purchased Olivia multiple times that I've had the opportunity to, is it gets old to me. And I know you felt this, Dave, that
Mhm.
it gets old.
Sold it.
Whereas I think Olive is just so classy. It's just it's cleaner
It's subtle.
from yeah.
It's subtle.
It just
There's-
it's
So,
a little bit
okay.
more. Subdued.
I think that set had better design all around than I think that set had a better design all around than Olivia, but it maybe I don't know, maybe it doesn't because the pink doesn't bounce, or the pink bounces off the charcoal gray more than Olive does, where it's kind of got that very, very dark with the subtle colors, which is interesting because I'm wondering now if Olive would do as well, because I feel like Botanical has just kind of pushed Olive out of the way in terms of faded greens.
But they're
And I do think
so different. It's
they're
frustrating.
different.
yeah, they're very different, but I'm curious to know how well it would do nowadays.
Yeah.
Dude, the ivory-ish alphas
Yeah.
underutilized in the community. Underutilized.
Okay, so first of all, I feel personally attacked that you would choose a green over a pink, because pink is clearly the best color. And don't at me, I'm not wrong. Okay. Second of all, Yuzai, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okay. Does bring up a good point. Like, us in the keyboard hobby, especially, I feel like are prone to this about how something becomes less good if there's more of it.
Mhm.
Like it's less rare,
well,
so it's not as
yeah.
good. Like does the Pink Olivia, is it better, or is Pink Olivia worse in our perception because there is so much of it versus Olive because there's less of it?
Mhm.
Like, and maybe that's just like a personal introspective question to ask, but like that might be
Do
might
you
play
like
into it for some people.
Yeah, well, just like, do you like something because it's rare and unique, and Not a lot of people have it. And I'll be honest, there's a pride in going, I got like Delta. Let's take Delta, for instance.
Yeah.
Everyone I
Delta's
know that
so
has
fucking
Delta
good.
is like, Delta's the best. I'm like, why? And they're like, it's just the best. I'm like, it's a
It's
great
so
set. And they're
good.
like,
It really
it's
is.
the best. And I was one of the 187 people that got it. And I'm like, and props and kudos to you. But maybe that's why you like it so much, because it comes with the story of, I am one of the few people that saw this and was like, I want this.
I think not, like, that's not the case for me with Olivia, because my falling out of love with it was before it like ran around 2, when it was,
It was like
still
right before. It was like right before.
yeah.
Like I remember
Well,
talking to you about
I had
it
fallen
because
out of
dual
love
shot.
with it for a while.
Mhm.
No, because it was way before that, because it was when you sold it to Moon.
Oh, okay.
It was before that.
Moon, you come up in all our conversations, man.
Because
Always.
well, you were like, "Hey, do you want my set?" And I was like, "No, I don't." I was like, maybe.
Well, you didn't
no.
want to. You didn't want to. You knew that I would have sold it to you for what I paid for, and
Right.
you told me I don't want you to lose any money on this, but I'm not going to pay what that set is worth.
Well, that, but I also didn't care for it as much anymore. It wasn't just that. It was that was a factor, but also like, if I cared for it, I would have totally just been like, yeah, dude, I'll buy it. Like, but yeah, I mean, and that was like hype. That was like peak hype. Like, you had the clout if you had Olivia at that point.
Do you remember? And like, it was so hype at one point. There was a dude on Mech Market wanting to buy 2 sets and was paying $750 each.
Yep.
For like, that is the highest price I've seen.
Mind you, when I went to a meetup in February, actually the meetup again, Moon, the meetup where I met Moon. I had like 5 or 6 boards, and I put Olivia on a tofu, and I put it in the front. And I had a Zeal 65, I had the TX60, a couple other boards that were pretty nice. Every single person went up, looked at the Olivia, looked at the board, asked to pick it up, all that. Looked at Olivia and then put it down and walked away. Every single, but no one cared that there was the Zephyr right there with muted. No one gave a shit about that board.
Dude,
it was
muted
just
is
Olivia. And I was like, I just put Olivia on like fucking, I don't even remember what Switch, and a tofu, and was like, there it is. And people were like, this is the best board. I'm like, no, it's a tofu with Olivia. Like,
and that was like pre-insanity of it.
Yeah.
It's
I do want to bring up, and MYC. They gave me a phonetic, so thank you. What the fuck is happening with Necro? What the fuck? I've seen people offer $550 for Necro. Someone sold Necro for $600. Someone I know. Why? Like, why? What? Like, is it a collector's rarity thing now? Because like,
pretty much.
Oh, the least liked color match set ever is worth money.
It's again, it's the people wanting to say I own Necro.
Have it. Yeah, like
dude, it was literally in stock like a year and a half ago.
Oh my god, I just got bodied by Iconic Bear. Some people have a fondness for Ford Pintos. He just bodied me. Oh my god. Like fuck you, but also it's a good joke. Like at the same time.
But dude,
hold on to your TKC sets then.
Hey Dave, do you still have your incorrect row profile key from Grain?
I am not currently in possession of Grain. My potential brother-in-law has it until 8008 shows up. He bought a squid, so I was like, I'm not using Grain right now. Use this until then. But I have that. I have the N key. I have.
Okay, would you guys like confession of the stream?
Let's hear it.
Raise your hand if you own GMK grain.
I guess I'll put my hand down.
I was so upset I gave it away because I have nothing but intentions to do another round with a different menu and different vendor, but I was so upset that I gave it away. I was so pissed off. I was like, "Fuck you, bye bye." So, grain will return in another menu
So
with another vendor.
that leads me to my next question. Branching out from GMK, I want
Oh God.
there are sets that are running now that say will be shipped Q3 2022.
Yep.
Q3 2022. That is so long from now.
It's so long. Also remember,
and that
we're
will
in Q3 of 2021.
Yeah, by like 8 days.
So it's a year, right?
So a year. It's not going to be a year. It's going to be longer. It's going to be if you buy a GMK set, especially if it's a new set that has to be color matched, you're looking at 18 months. If you get it within 18 months, consider yourselves lucky.
Well, okay, so I don't have any hot sauce down here, but like I was thinking this earlier and was hoping for a good time to bring it up. Hot take of the stream. I am concerned for GMK in the future.
Mhm.
Like okay, once like Delta variant pandemic has relaxed and like it's safe again to go full capacity and they've got new machines, I don't think that we get there. I don't think that they get there. I genuinely think that they are going to fall by the wayside of the hobby in the near future because we're at that tipping point of how long lead times are. And I'm not saying that necessarily because people aren't willing to wait, because I mean, fuck, people waited 23 or 25 months for the modern M0110, right? But like we are submitting kitting now for a round 2 of Cafe and are concerned that we might have to push group buy to October because of just quote delays. Like, just here's all the length of the keys for a color that we know. It could take long enough just to hear back on a quote for kits that we might need to push from September to October. So, like, eventually, something is going to happen with the vendors that they will say, hey, no, like we will seek other. We will work with others, right? And they're gotta love capitalism. Somebody's gonna fill that void, right? Like that's just how it's gonna be. So GMK will always be
Hope
a big
so.
player and will always be the desired. However, there is no way in my brain that they sustain even close to the level of intensity that they have right now.
The other piece for me is like how many of these people that are purchasing sets are not going to give a fuck about the hobby when they get
Yeah.
like cuz there's going to
Yeah.
be a considerable amount of people who got into the hobby
Yep.
in pandemic times that maybe don't care anymore when they get their GMK sets. And I also as much as it sucks, it is the nature of the hobby. I wonder how many people purchase multiple sets as a investment come when they actually ship, thinking
Yeah,
that
when
it
they deliver,
like
yeah.
like at what point do we get to where it's so long that not only do people like not really care about that anymore, like they just those sets start to sell for cheaper, right? Like
Mhm.
Necro was in stock until 2019, 20 almost
Yeah.
into 2020, right? We're just now seeing it be an expensive set. People aren't going to hold on to stuff. They're going to offload it. Like same thing with Plum, the other Jessica set. Like it was under group buy price at aftermarket for the longest time until like last year or
You know what?
2 year and a half ago.
2021 has been drunk the whole time because it
Mhm.
was like 2020, I ain't got shit, right? Like I got you. But if 2021 is the year that Jessica is vindicated on her sets, like that's something else. That's a whole nother energy I was not expecting. Like, and she's out of the hobby, just sitting here like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's so great.
She just, I just want to see the day where she just quietly goes to her closet and has like 15 unopened sets.
Well,
you imagine?
those flip
and
for
it's like, yes,
those flip for
$500. So she's like,
$500.
Even at 300, she makes so much money because of the cost of GMK at the time versus now.
But that happens because there's only 250, 300 of these sets.
Yep.
When
and
there's
she's got
five grand of a
Just
set
sitting in
and
her closet.
2,000 people are trying to offload them, you know, that's obviously a drastic percentage, but like when there's a very significant portion of the community that purchased them that are trying to offload it, that resale price not going to be looking too great, you know?
Nope.
yeah. And
I do-
So
Sorry, go ahead.
now MUC brings up when folks aren't in the hobby anymore, they're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to at least try and make my money off of this, which is going that. So I mean, I don't see the aftermarket pretty much ever recovering. I don't think the
Just
keycap
no.
set aftermarket, I don't see that ever recovering. I think that's unless the hobby gets intervened by a massive company or basically another keycap set that's better than GMK and cheaper than GMK comes in and just blows the doors open. I don't see, and even then, it's just gonna pivot, right? It's just gonna pivot to something different. People
it's
are
magic cards.
frothing. Yeah, it's magic cards.
It's magic cards. The
People
ones that aren't
are
made anymore.
frothing at the mouth for product. Everyone wants a board. Every board that anyone that is a content creator has gone, I like this board. If Odos and Teja and Apiary say, I like this board, that board's borderline impossible to get.
Yep.
Because half the people that want them, or 5% of the people that want them, get them. The other 800 boards or 80 boards or whatever go to people that are trying to make money. It sucks, but that's just part of the hobby. Shoes, right? Same exact thing. The people that want them aren't the ones that usually get them.
Okay,
You usually have to buy them from the people that
Yeah,
go
but
in
how
and
long
I
invest.
have
does it?
so many thoughts
can
thanks
people
to our
wait?
chat.
How
I have
long?
so many thoughts thanks to our chat. I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
I was just saying, how long can people wait before that does change? Before people are like, I don't care anymore. I want this new thing that I can get way quicker.
Well,
and like,
that's,
I'm not
that
going to
goes
pay
right to what
$500
Dotnik's bringing up.
for it.
Is
Yeah.
when does the bottom fall out of the large group buy, because there are
Right.
so many people who aren't willing to wait that long. Like, so few people now buy in to these group buys for these popular sets that you have a Dots with 11,000 kits sold that ends up, because people aren't willing to wait 18 fucking months for a set, you only sell 2,000 for the most popular set to ever sell, right? Like,
I want everyone to go watch the Walmart episode of South Park, because that is what is happening, and that
Yes.
is what will happen. For those who don't know, I strongly recommend 22 minutes. Strongly recommend. It's a very funny episode, but it's what happened. At the very end, they're like, we found a way to finally defeat Walmart. So we burned everything down because Walmart got too big. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go shop at Jerry's like shop. And then everyone goes and shops at Jerry's shop. And then Jerry's shop turns into the next Walmart. And then they have to burn it down for becoming too strong. That's what my worry is with a new keycap set that comes in, is that
we've already seen it though, Chewy. We already saw it. Brian brought it up.
SA. Yeah, SA.
Brian brought it up.
SA
to GMK.
And so
we're gonna do the same thing with
when
them.
we find the next one, I just feel bad because it's a never-ending process. I honestly think someone else brought it up where it's like, do we get to the point where we just start having vendors look at a keycap set and then buy 1,000 of them? And then when they're like, by the way, this month we're selling this, and when it sells out, it sells out.
We've
it
already
might be
seen that
less money
transition, though.
over, but
we've already seen that transition, or like the precursor to it with Mike and Novel Keys and their whole operation, right? Like, when you're able, with the purchasing power of like a viable business that pays their team members an appropriate wage, which fucking kudos to Mike for employing people, paying them an accurate, a livable wage. So fucking anyways. But when you can sell many thousands of an in-stock thing in moments, like
seconds.
people, like I cannot believe that Garrett hasn't already had, here's 1,000 of a thing, And maybe it's just waiting to be shipped to him. But like, how has Omnitype not had, here's cases of a thing I have, and it's sold out immediately? Like, I fully expect the purchasing power of the larger vendors to be able to do that soon. Like, it's just the natural progression of what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And to Dee Dee's point, and many people have already brought it up, we're already seeing the Walmart situation happen with GMK and the move to ePBT.
Yeah.
Like, we're already seeing that, right? And now you're seeing more PBT manufacturers pop up, right? It's all cyclical. It's going to happen again,
Yeah.
right?
We're
And now
just going to
people are
run
like, "Ooh,
EBBT,
DCS.
EPBT in the
Ooh, hey, what's this new thing from Signature Plastics? DCS, this new thing,
New
like,
thing.
Yeah, new
like
thing.
new
DSS?
thing.
Ooh.
Like, it's all it's gonna come back around,
Yeah.
and Signature Plastics is gonna get inundated again, and they're gonna be like, ooh, this new thing, this GMK, they've got a PBT now. Like, bitch, we always had a PBT, we just didn't sell it. Like, it's gonna be the same thing.
Nautilus is an interesting one because one, I know I don't personally know. He did not tell me. But Nautilus is a set that I am sure he bought a fuckload of extras for because it did do well. Nautilus is also a very polarizing set that is hard to put on a board.
Yeah.
Like from personal experience, Nautilus is a very hard set to put on a board and go, I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so is Necro, but that's selling for like
Yeah,
$900. So
Yeah, and it's,
At that point, it's just clout.
but also like Mech Mauler, I don't know, and this could be wrong, but for me, Nautilus is also an outlier from the fact that you can still see what the round one kit and price was from many years ago and say, look at how many keys this is, look at the cost it is. And like, some people maybe are turned off by a more streamlined base kit for a more, intense price, which I'm not saying it's a bad price for the kitting, but it used to be you bought this kit and then there were novelties and you were out 140 for both. Like I bought Nautilus, that shit was fly, right? And it was super inexpensive. And now if I want to buy that with all the things, I'm out 250, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, that's the nature of things. Inflation and cost goes up, right? I'm not saying it's right, but yeah, the kit was so fucking good. It was so incredible, right?
Yeah, it was.
So-
That's one of those. We look at Metropolis, and we're gonna talk to Neflock here in a few weeks. That was a set that that sat at Novel Keys for like 2 months. I want to say Keeb Noob, one of our moderators. I think that was one of the first sets she bought because it was in stock. GMK Lime. Loved GMK Lime. I think DD Decline has it now. Love the set. It was sitting in stock. Some of these sets that's what vendors want. At the end of the day, that's vendors, of course, want to make money and grow their business, but the real thing is, if they could, they would have everything in stock so that people could be happy. Because I'm sure they are sick and tired of hearing wins round two, wins round two, wins round two. And it's funny to me that a set like Metropolis sat for 2 months.
yeah, but now we've had a round two, and it
And
did well again, and it'll probably be in stock, and they'll probably have some. Also, Type Beast, thank you for the 17 months. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is interesting.
Lime was 2018.
Lime was old.
Well,
2017.
quotes around old.
No,
right?
GMK Lime ran in late 2018, and it shipped in late 2019.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Max Key.
Because SA Lime
Max
was a lot.
Key SA. There was two because there's two. There was Max Key, and then he did Signature Plastics.
Signature Plastics.
Yeah. Max Key was Max Key the one that literally fell off
Yes,
stems.
that was the one.
Hell yeah.
I broke a bunch of those caps on Halo, Royal Halo Trues.
Dude. The freaking
I had to sold that board. That was one of the few things I've sold at a loss because I told the guy, I was like, hey man, these caps are fucked. This is probably you probably have to just leave these caps on this board. And the person was happy to buy it.
I broke the stems of my round one Nautilus on the first run of box navies that I put into my Melody 96. Like,
Ooh.
and that compared to someone like Nebulant is not even old. And
Yeah.
that was like, could you imagine? Yeah, like something else, dude.
Yeah, that's good. So I want to ask, speaking of Nebulant, color matching. Color
Oh.
matching is we touched on it. All right. Everyone we've talked the three of us have gone into extreme detail on this.
Let's
Guys,
not
check
kick
out
the dead horse.
our YouTube channel. But I guess I'll ask the question that Eric brings up all the time, which is, what is more important to you? You presenting a good product that looks good to you, or being able to match it as well as possible?
I like
Would you choose something
unfortunately,
that looks better because you looking at it looks better, or would you choose something that is to you doesn't look as good, but because of a number on a sheet of paper that's a specific color, it matches, by a number on a screen, that's why you would choose it?
yeah. So the short answer is I will choose the thing that looks better. However, it's more complicated than that. Like, it's not this binary situation of the color is or the color isn't, because like if I because like when you choose a RAL, okay, so like let's use GMK as an example because that's a super popular one, right? And Nebulan has changed the game with this because he can do correct color analysis on a media of color and then say, here's the variation, here's what can be changed. All right. So, Neb has changed this. Okay. But what it used to be, as far as I understood, and what my experience for Cafe was I choose a RAL color. I ordered physical samples of that RAL color, and they came on paper. Okay. It gave me the 6 points of variation and all this stuff and color codes and an actual physical representation of the color that was on a gloss piece of paper. Great. And then I got color samples from GMK. Okay. And they were super close, right? Like the alpha, of course, is L9. That's perfect because they never
Yeah.
deviate from that. The accent was RAL, 1001, and that was honestly perfect. And then the 8019, the mod color, was super close. And I was like, let's try for another round. Let's see what happens. And then they say, okay, well, the color that you get is the RAL. So if you want a different color, and again, big asterisk, Nebulant has helped change the game with this kind of stuff, right? They said, if you want a different color of this mod, you choose a new fucking RAL. So I was like, oh, okay. So I picked a different RAL. So like we got round 2 in, and I was like, no, this is too chocolate. Like this doesn't work. So at the end of the day, people got Cafe round 1, and was it an absolute perfect match to the RAL? Not in the color space that I saw it as, but in the color space of what the science said this is the color. Yes, at least from their perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, we didn't have that analyzed at the level that someone like Neb is doing. So yeah, I'm gonna match it to that second, or to that correct color, okay? Because it looked good to me. I liked the way that it looked. I had it on my desk. It looked good to me, and like this is a good example because we also did Infinity, right? And I chose Pantones for that because it was dye. So it's like this Pantone looks good to me. On my desk, and I looked at them for a week, and I was like, these are the ones that I want. I never ever wanted it, or never tried. Let's be clear on that. I never tried to make it a 1-to-1 with GMK. So when people got Infinity Cafe, it absolutely was actually an exceptional match to the color of what we had chosen. Like for all of TKC's bullshit, the colors were pretty damn excellent on that. Okay. And I'm still happy with that set, especially for like a surprise in stock, because that's the way we did it. But it absolutely is different from the other one. Different color spaces, GMK Cafe at home. Thank you for the picture. Thank you. But it is more in the gray space, right? It's less of that
Mhm.
deep brown color. Okay. In terms of color matching, it's you will. I have so many. I have so many thoughts on color matching.
This is why we bring
Dude,
you on, because you can just
but
point the microphone at you and let you go.
that's fair. That's fair. But the short answer really is like I'm never gonna say I need it to be this perfect thing that is represented to the buyer. And that's not because I don't respect the buyer. The reason is because I don't know what screen you're viewing it on. I don't know how good my eyes are at using this projected light versus reflective light, because that's also an issue too, right? Monitors are a monitors and the screens that we're looking at are they're projected light. So how we see them is different than the way that the light works naturally in our lives. Okay, so the colors themselves, they could be the exact same color space, but because of the lighting and how it is projected, look different alone. So like I will make the decision based on the physical color sample over what I'm looking at on the screen every day of the week. Like with, let's use SA Recall as an example. I spent 3.5 hours on a FaceTime, or not FaceTime, a Discord call with Alec Abeck, who did Sunday Morning, right, and the Adele, and many other things in wonderful renders. 3.5 hours just on the render color for the purple of Recall, because I had it here in my hand and I was going, no. Like, we're playing with the sliders in in his fucking Fusion. I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe let's up the red, just like a 2%. I'm like, oh my god, and then we render it and we look at it and I'm like, no, it's not working. So like, when I got the color samples for SA Recall, yeah, you know what? I put them next to the Pantones that we chose for these colors, and they're real damn close. They absolutely are not perfect. I will never claim for them to be. I did not send it to Nebulant. I did not have it analyzed scientifically. But these colors, to me, in my person, absolutely represent what the focus of the set was and are close enough to what was represented in the interest check and group buy phase that I think it is fair to the purchaser, right?
Mhm.
Because I never want to fuck over the person that bought into a thing and then gets a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, as best I can control that. Okay, we used different pictures. Like, I took all of the pictures for Infinity Cafe. I took direct light, I took shade, I took indoor. And the picture that everyone cared about was the indoor one on my brown carpet. And they were like, hey, why isn't the set more brown? I'm like, buddy, we have so many different pictures. You saw it in direct light. It is a grayer tone. Like, you chose to ignore that. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but like, your expectation was different than what it was. So if I can control their experience with the set, I would like to. But dancing around the very old question now, I think I've been talking for 20 minutes. I will choose the look of the set over the number every day. If they happen to be identical, which is very rare, unless you're involving Nebulant, great. Great. But like art isn't a binary thing to me, and like the color process of like understanding how these colors work together, me seeing them, me playing with them in different lights, me putting them on different finishes of boards, carrying them around, being a weirdo. Like, I took 10 days to tell Mike that these were the colors that were okay for SA Recall. I walk around with them like a fucking maniac, like doing this stuff. And like, part of that is the creative process, part of that is me being okay with it or like being hesitant, but like, I'm never going to be perfect, and I hope that no one expects that. Like, and if they do, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think it's also like the fact that a lot of people who we talked about earlier about people new getting into keycaps, they don't understand plastic, right? We're just putting colors together. We don't understand, hey, this has to fucking make it into a plastic. Like, someone's got to figure out how to translate this over. And the
Yep.
community's been screwed, which has led to some hard decisions that have to be made. Like what you're talking about making a call of like, yeah, this doesn't match, but this is the best that I
It's
can
so
do.
damn
Or
close,
this is the
no one would
closest.
know.
Right.
Like, and it's not like I'm lying by omission. It's unless you have that RAL in your hand that was created the same time as that RAL, because again, color is fluid, right? Like, there's a reason that Pantone says replace your books after X amount of time, because those colors can shift based on machinery or like what the mix was. That, like, we try and go towards this one center thing, and they have color analysis and Nebulant. I'm sorry if I'm like fucking talking way out, but like, there's reasons why they retire colors or come up with a new one. There, like, there's points to it, and unless they bought the sample I had from the same batch at that same time, and they're looking at it the exact same way through the same lens and through the same lighting, we're not like, we're not going to be the same unless we're using scientific instruments. There's
Right,
just
yeah.
no way.
I bring this up often, and these pictures. I'm gonna send these to you, Eric. It's the same. It's camping. It's camping, which is the goofiest white ever. They're on their way. Same exact camera settings. No editing to the picture. I took my keyboard. It was a TX60 in gray with GMK camping on it, and literally just where I was standing, they look like completely different alphas. It looks like I swapped out. Lang said he will be right back. So it still is the most, like, whenever I think about, there was a picture of, there was a video that Garrett did from Omnitype, right? Where he had 8008 on a board, and then he was inside and he filmed himself walking outside. And people were mad about like how it looked inside, but liked how it looked outside. And then people were mad because they hated how it looked outside, but they loved how it looked inside. And I'm like, then what? Like, you are not going to be happy then. At that point, you are just never going, like what will make you happy? Because it's not going to look exactly how you want it to look. And
resize this to be smaller, Dave.
I just drug. I had to get this picture, bro. I got this picture from my backup hard drive.
Yeah, here's the one.
I was just happy I found it.
And then let me find this, and let me do this. So that's one, and then let me add in the second one, and we can show the difference. So that's one. That's where it's like a more bright white.
Yeah.
And then this is the other picture where it's
orange.
Where it's basically orange. But yeah, I mean that's like why you can't look at a set online. You can't look at pictures of a set and like know or understand what it looks like. Some sets just look like trash, dude. Bento. Looks awful. It looks like trash.
Bento looks so bad
on pictures and even on camera. Like when you're watching a stream and like Apiary will build. She's built a couple times with Bento recently, and people are in chat always like, I have a hard time reading those legends, or those modifiers look weird. And I'm like, it looks bad here, but it looks great in person. It's super crisp, super clear, legible.
I would agree with legible and clear. I don't know if I would say great. I don't love Bento in person. Okay, so like,
I think it's like, I guess it's so disappointing in pictures that in person you're like,
yes,
oh my god.
That for me actually is Shoko. Like Shoko's that way for me. Like in pictures, I'm like, okay, I could see how this works, and then in person, I was like, fucking need it. Like all the money.
What's so funny is Shoko is the exact opposite. I'm like, in pictures, I'm like, God, that looks great. And then I see it in person, I'm like, eh. Okay, I'm like, it's just washed out gray.
There's two sets that did that to me, where it was Shoko and Taro, where I was like, okay, this is pretty great. And then I saw it in person and I was like, and I have to have it. I will spend all the monies. Like, all the monies.
Mizu is the set that I always think of whenever it comes to, like when in Bento, whenever I'm trying to take a picture of Mizu, I hate it. I hate taking that raw file and bringing it in. It's so hard. I basically, every single time I take a picture of my Baka with Mizu, I take a picture with anything else. Literally grab another keyboard, throw it on, edit it to that, and then put on Mizu, because Mizu is if you do any of those sliders just to try and make the picture look normal, all of a sudden the keycaps are white. And it drives me up the fucking wall.
You can very easily make Mizu into Cafe for some reason. So like, and it doesn't make sense. I agree with Brian. I think Mizu looks better in renders than in person. I don't love it in person.
I don't even remember what it looks like in renders because I picked it up like Christmas Day from Z Frontier. It was like, hey, we're running this. And I was like, all right, sweet. I'll give it a shot, and got it, and been super happy ever since.
Yeah, Hamon, that's another one. Dotnix, that's another one that looks really funky on pictures online, and then in person it looks way better. It's actually like pretty clean looking.
I'm in Dave's camp on this. like I love it in pictures, and then I see it, and I'm like, "Fuck that!" Like, I don't
Really?
like it. I don't like. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, see, I don't like the renders of Mizu. I think it's too it's too light. But
Nebulon,
it's after
if you've got a
staring
conspiracy
at it.
theory on the color between Mizu and Cafe, I want to know. But like,
Let's hear it.
the mod color of Hamon is sexy. Like, it's straight hotness.
That's like
The
Striker.
alpha
Striker's another
colors
one.
kill me though.
The
Like,
Striker's another one that pops in person. When you look at it online, you're like, it's just another blue set. When you see it in person, you're like, damn, that is blue.
yeah.
Um,
But all of this conversation confirms the point that like you're so fucked like with color. So like you have to trust who you are, you know?
Yeah.
So like I like I feel a little bit, and this might be the actual hottest take of the stream. I feel a little bit like justice for Jessica in like in her set choices, not because the sets that were produced were bad. Obviously, they were hugely different than the renders, but like if you have any kind of color space blindness, right? And it's screen versus in-person plastics, and you get something in hand and you're like, "Well, that's pretty close actually." I love what's in my hand. Let's do that. I'm trying to protect the buyers. Like maybe that was where her heart was in that. And like we just, as consumers felt cheated by that. So like I'm not saying you didn't get what you expected because you obviously got something different than what was sold to you in the renders. However, I don't we look at it so many times as a community of like this like incompetence level or like malicious intent of like, oh, I changed it midway, when in reality I don't personally know, was there like a conscious decision made? I love what this is in person. I hope like I think that this is true
yeah.
to what my vision is, and
Well,
I don't know the answer to that. So
I mean, Garrett from Omnitype has said many times that in Modern Dolch Round 1, the red had to be changed
Yep.
because they selected a Pantone from the metallics section, like kind
Yep.
of unknowingly, which is like, and GMK was like, yeah, no, we can't do this. Like, this is not
yeah.
a possibility for us to make this exact color. Pick something else. Is that something that may have happened with both Plum and Necro? I think the community has struggled pretty consistently with like a desaturated color set.
Yeah.
Like Plum, Necro, even Mizu is more saturated than the renders. Peaches and Cream initially, like a lot of those types of sets, like even sets that are more successful, like an Olive, I think is, while yes, it's still relatively good and close, the alphas still can skew to be more gray than what you would expect.
Yeah.
Or it's hard. Those are hard to do, that desaturated color, because I think there's a perception of the way it comes through on a screen that maybe isn't as plausible to make happen in plastic.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then when you
I
can
mean,
do it, and when you can do it well, you end up with sets like Taro and Mizu and Bingsu. And I love Terra. I think Terra is a fantastic set. Where these sets that they're like vibrantly
Well,
desaturated. Like
so,
it's
like-
crazy. It's like they look so good. Like Botanical, another one that came out super.
Well, and it's funny because
Super
like
well.
you've mentioned a bunch of sets that have been run by one specific vendor. So another thing that I don't think I've ever talked about is you get to a point too as a business where you're making decisions for your consumers without the ability to speak to your consumers. So like in your color matching phase, if you get something that is super close but isn't quite right, like Garrett and Omnitype are the perfect example of this, because they like refuse to compromise on the color and will extend a buy massively as a result, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. I'm just saying that's their decision. Whereas other vendors might say, holy shit, this is super close. It looks great. We'll take a peaches and cream example. That set fucking slaps. Was it absolutely correct to the renders? No. Like, no one's going to sit here and argue that. But where in that conversation of I'm the vendor with working with the designer and we've got the consumer, do we say it's close enough? Is it worth extending this another 6 months because of times, right? So
Mhm.
that's another factor too that I don't think we've discussed is some people are saying this is close enough to the vision that I want. I am extremely happy with this. Let's, send it as it were versus I want absolute perfection. Go back to the drawing board, do it again.
And
And
I think
I'm not giving merit for one or the other. Like there's pros and cons to both, but we also don't usually factor that in.
I think you see that with two sets that come to three sets, two on one side, one on the other, that come to mind are Peaches and Cream, and I think 8008 falls under that, where it's like, no, this is good. This is going to look good. 8008 came out solid. People weren't happy with it not coming out hot pink enough. The set looks good.
Yeah.
And guess what? You probably made money off selling it, so you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But you have those. And then on the other hand, you've got Dracula. Where's Dracula? Guess what? It's not going to be anytime soon because it's going to take a long time to get through the thing. And they're trying to make it perfect. To an extent, I respect how much they're trying to get Dracula. It's got a lot of different colors. There's a lot of things going on, and you're trying to match colors to lights, which is it's its own fucking monster in itself. But now you're kind of every month, it's going to be 2 years before this thing ships out to people. And case in point, Dracula and Cafe came out in the same month.
Yeah. But that goes back to like let's go full circle on this, because one of the first questions you asked was about like designing sets that are similar to other sets. There's an element of luck that is associated with this, right? Like Cafe, very lucky that the color that we first went with was exceptionally close to what we wanted, that turned out great and looks good with. I have yet to see a board that it looks bad on, right? Like there is a huge element of luck to that. Dracula could have had that same luck with many of the colors and did with several. However, they have a lot of colors. And to Nebulon's point, they are really pushing the requirement for physical color references from that set that is light to physical space, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, there's an element of art associated with this, and art isn't perfect, right? And again, first episode I was ever with you guys on, I was like, keyset designers are one thing, keyboard designers are a whole nother animal. And I don't want to be flippant about color. So people that understand color, I am not saying that color is easy. Okay. There is a different level of requirement from designing a board to designing keycaps, right? Some people have gotten exceptionally lucky, like me, where you pick colors that seem to work and the set sells well and it works together well, unless your manufacturer fucks you, which sometimes happens. Okay. And then there are other people who are flat out designers that design the fuck out of a keycap set. Okay. Like Neflock, you're having him on this month. That is an example of someone that is a flat out designer. I've been exceptionally lucky in inspiration and color picking. Okay. Mint Lodica, Susan, she's a fucking designer. Okay. Like I do not put myself in the same class as those people. So as I sit here talking about this as an authority on it, please everyone remember that. Okay. Like there is a difference in my mind on someone who is a legitimate designer versus someone who's gotten pretty good or lucky with choosing colors. Okay. And we should call a duck a duck.
And they're
right?
Remember, they're all just crayons.
Yeah, it's
They
all just
are.
crayons.
You're all playing with the same
Just
fucking crayons, okay?
The
Like
same fucking crayons. The last thing I have written down here is let's talk about tildes. Let's talk about mod pipe.
Dude,
And
okay.
Let's talk about are you designing a keycap set for you, or are you designing the keycap set to be enjoyed by everyone? Because there is a huge difference there.
well,
Listen.
okay.
I don't have
ahead,
a
Eric.
problem with someone saying I don't want it in the base kit. I don't have a problem with that. I think that is, as the designer, if you want to say mod pipe and tilde not in the base kit, that is your prerogative. We've seen that happen plenty of times with other things that were normally in base kits. ISO enters come to mind. Numpads come to mind, segregating significant portions of the community. My problem is saying that it should not exist as a whole and not even making it available is my bigger problem, because this hobby is about customization, is about doing what you want, being able to do that. And I understand the argument of, oh, you can just make it. But it's like, yeah, but then I just make it and then all of a sudden everyone hates me because I copied someone else's set.
Yeah, look, literally that happened, by the way. Just so everyone knows, MK Ultra went out and made something from SA Godspeed that didn't exist, and everyone got pissed off at it. So yeah, because
thank you, Double Dave, for the three gifted subs.
Thank you, Double Dave, very, very much. I always view it as boards are made for the person, sets are made for the people. How you color that set is how you make it for yourself. How you deliver that set to people should be, as much as you can, Cries and 40s users, as much as you can available. Like, why would you want to prevent people from having your set? So that's what baffles me.
The struggle that I have with it, I fully agree on both of these. Number one, hi Davis, I hope your foot's feeling better. Number two, like, I keep doing this comparison to art, right? Like, and I specifically want to go there because, you know, you have an artist that is creating a piece. Sometimes that's a statement piece, sometimes it's performance art, sometimes it's, you know, whatever the media may be. They go into it with this specific idea in mind, okay? If someone is designing a set and they have the preference of asymmetry, for example, and they do not want their own set on their own keyboard to have symmetry, so they want an alpha colored pipe key and an alpha colored tilde, that I completely think is totally fine. Good for you. That's your design, that's your choice, okay? The outright refusal to at least in some way offer that because you don't like it in a hobby that exists because people want to customize things is so childish, toxic, and gatekeepy, you can go fuck yourself. Like, I full on understand your decision to present this thing as it is. Full on agree with that. Please, thank you. And explain that. I want to present it as this. I fully respect you for that. Okay? I absolutely will buy into that. And then if you say, oh, a lot of people are requesting this thing, I will add it to a new kit. Yeah, sure. I might get a lot of shit for that, to Dotnik's point. I might get a lot of shit for putting it in another kit and making you pay more. I'm still offering it.
Yep.
Okay? Your outright refusal or your hill to die on for even it existing, go fuck yourself. If it's like, if you straight up won't do it because that's your opinion when 1,000 people are going to buy a thing from you, fuck you. You suck. You're a toxic gatekeepy piece of shit, and go fuck yourself. I'm not buying from you anymore. Like, I'm going to vote with my wallet. Okay. And I hope more people do, but like, we are in a hobby that is all about inclusion. There are so many people in marginalized communities that exist in our hobby, right? Like, there are so many humans that don't get a fair shake in our traditional, especially American, very cishet white male dominated patriarchal society, that get to customize the things that they want in their typing experience here. Okay. And yes, this is a larger me on my platform type moment. Okay. But to then just have outright refusal to include humans that have different preferences from you is just propping that bullshit up again. And too long, didn't listen or didn't read. Fuck you for doing that. Like, I don't care if you include it in your base kit. Offer it in some way.
Well, because every other thing that we've taken out of a base kit, we still make it available. We threw the freaking numpad kids and the ISO together.
I hate numpad.
We threw those guys together.
Offer it.
We offered it.
Like,
so I'll bring up the point to Dotnik MK, who brings a valid argument. But what if I don't think my set looks good with mod tilde and pipe? It's almost the same argument with the color matching judgment decision. You get what you want. That's the thing. You get what you want. To me, what I see that there, when I see that there is, when I see that, I see are you going to be literally disgusted at other people enjoying something
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
made? Like, are you not going to be able to look at boards that have a particular cap on it? Because then that's where a situation where I might go, take a quick step back and go, if I'm making something, I'm making it for me and I get what I want. But it shouldn't care that that what other people's boards are, because then at that point you would go, I want to put this on a TKL, so I'm only going to release the TKL caps. Would you do that? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's my response to that is,
So-
you're singling out certain things that are obviously triggering people. And if you're going to get what you want, why are you going to exclude all these other things?
A couple thoughts that I'm having now is, one, the refusal to include things, and I'm specifically just talking about mod pipe and tilde right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
The
because
minivan stuff's a different
there's a much
story.
larger conversation
Yeah.
about compatibility for niche boards and cost, and that is a whole different thing. I specifically want to talk about the inclusion of mod pipe and tilde, because that has continued to be a thing in the last 6 months for us, or at fucking 9 months for us, actually.
Yeah.
But number one, it seems to come from a place of pettiness, right? Like, I don't like it, so fuck you. And also, the evidence for that is in the continued refusal for no minivan backspace support. And I know that that's a niche thing. Minivan doesn't hardly fucking exist anymore. Evan has sold his stock. Minivans aren't as popular. But like, the fact that there is a continued refusal for certain individuals in this hobby to say fuck you to people who use those boards, there are a lot of boards out there, is speaking to the level of pettiness. And so thank you for bringing it up, chat. Number two, to Dotnik's point, yeah, some people might think that mod pipe until they look bad or alpha pipe until they look bad. There is a very one-sided group of people that are refusing one way. Like, people that want alpha pipe until they are refusing mod, and people that like mod are not refusing alpha. They're still including
It's a one-way
so, like,
street. Yeah.
like, it's extremely one way. So all of this comes from pettiness and ego. And again, if that's your argument, is because I don't like it or fuck you, then fuck you. Like, big time. You suck. You suck.
I mean,
And
literally,
don't wanna
there
include
was.
you.
I won't exactly shout it out, but you can probably guess who it is. There was a set that did this, and the person said, someone messaged me at 3 a.m. last night asking about mod tilde and mod pipe, and I was thinking about going ahead and adding it, but now I'm not, because fuck you for doing that. And I'm like, okay, so it's pettiness.
Yep.
It's you think you're being funny. Stop.
There is
take a few steps back and realize how
The
like,
community
what
is
you're
past
doing.
the point of just being memes. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. We've got meme sets. We've got our GMK Gregory's. We've got Dots becoming one of the most popular sets of all time, apparently, even though that was a meme. But like, we got to be professional at some point, you know? We got to start thinking about like what's better for the hobby, what's good for the future of the hobby, and the sustainability of it, because there's going to be a point. I know we like to act like it doesn't exist. There's going to be a point where this hobby becomes profitable enough where someone who's got fuck you money can just come in and just say, I own you now.
I have $50,000. I'm going to take you to court.
Yeah, like, but again, like, it's like many things. It's like many things. For the most part, this isn't some binary conversation where it's this or that, right? There's a ton of nuance here. Like Dotnik was talking about, he didn't include F13 in the base for a specific reason. Like, good, you are like, if you're designing a thing and it doesn't fit your design, great. But the problem that I think, and I'm sorry to speak for you, gentlemen, but the problem that we have is the outright refusal to listen to the group that you're directing your purchase to.
Yeah.
Like, I want this thing. That's dumb. Fuck you. Like, that's that is so unbelievably obtuse.
Imagine going
So
to a
frustrating.
restaurant and then being like a fast food restaurant and be like, they're like, hey, we want straws. No straws. You can just drink from the lid.
Or hey,
Yeah,
that
but no,
sandwich that has
I
tomato on it. I
yeah.
don't want tomato.
Sorry, fuck you. Here's a
No,
tomato.
it's made with tomato, so fuck you. You can either not order it or you can have tomato. Like,
Yeah.
because fuck you. Like
So
that's
I
kind
think
of what it is.
F13 is such a strange key to me because, as Eric said, the base kit is your canvas, right? The base kit is what's going up. That's
I would
the
agree.
art piece.
Yeah.
Everything else is for the hobby, as it should be. Everything else is just whatever. It doesn't need to be. You don't have to care about any of that other stuff. But when there are certain keys that fall under that realm, where it's one or two, and yeah, it's in a base kit, it just it boggles my mind. But
So here's where I then ask questions, right? Because if you look at like EPBT Grand Tour or like SA Recall, you have two different designs from base kit levels, right? Because if you buy an ortho kit versus the TKL kit for SA Recall, and this was a conscious decision, and I'm not saying I was right or wrong, it looked bad when we did the stripe, like the line where it went down, like in the base kit. When we did it on ortho, it didn't look good, and it definitely didn't work for compatibility. So we made the decision to make it a flat line because that looks good and helps for compatibility. So Eric and Chewy, the base kit is your canvas. What happens to those other kits if you make a decision for the community, like with their intention, but they don't like it? I'm not saying that people did or did not like the SA Recall, Ortho, or Ergo kits. I'm just curious of if we extend that out, because now what is my canvas? Is it just the base kit? Like,
now you're
devil's
just
advocate, baby.
Here's my thing. We're
You're the guy
talking
that-
about
you're the-
fucking alpha keys here. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about the
Yeah.
like I get it. The minivan thing, I totally understand from the aspect of it's like pettiness for that, like how that combines. But we're talking
so
about
many years
niche
of petty.
niche community, niche thing. F13, yes, I get it. There's a lot of boards that are coming out that are F13. Cool. Yes. Still niche. We're talking about two keys that are on literally every keyboard.
Well,
except for
some 40s.
sub every keyboard
It's the
60
new
and
Alice
above.
beat, Brian.
Just say
Every keyboard.
Brian.
just say every keyboard that counts. All right, we can piss off Dee. Okay.
Dude, I'm not even comfortable with that, and I get fucking triggered with short column boards. I only bought this because it has all the columns. Like oh man, oh no.
But every
My
60
40s
plus
homies.
keyboard, we're talking about that. We're talking about providing symmetry, which like this hobby is like 90% aesthetic, right? Like let's be real. At this point now, with like the way shit goes, and keycaps specifically, 90% aesthetic. No one really. We like to think we care about sound. We like to think we care about feel. But like at the end of the day, if your board doesn't look cool, even if it's the best sounding board I've ever seen,
matters.
or if it's the best board I've ever felt and it's the best sound I've ever heard, but it looks like trash, you're not going to sell anything. This hobby is like 95% aesthetic, and we've got people who are gatekeeping over symmetry. What?
So, Mechmauler brought up a good question that I actually very much would like to talk about briefly.
Yeah.
The question is, do you think you will see more sets like GMK Arch that had different full kits for different board styles?
That's not a new thing.
Well,
that's what's
it's
cool.
not a new
They
thing.
took a page out of SA.
Yes, because that's typical for SA to do, right?
Yeah.
That said, like for the, I'll put quotes on, larger manufacturers, I fully expect that to happen as the community grows. Because look at Dots. Dots sold 11,000 fucking kits. It's literally circles on keys. And yeah, it's got good compatibility, but like the hobby is so huge now. Like you absolutely will do that when you start getting into GMK and your EPBTs. I fully expect that. The question for me becomes not can the community support it, can the manufacturers support it, right? Because like if you look at GMK, everything they have is sorted by hand, so that's a huge labor cost for them. I don't know what the deal is with EBPT, but I would be willing to bet that they're relatively similar. Okay. So, yes, YZ it was an April Fool's joke. Hamon
Yeah.
was an April Fool's joke. Like, these April Fool's sets are always a wonderful surprise. People ask for GMK MAGA. I know that they're going to change the name and I think they're eventually going to run it. But like, that was an April Fool's joke that people were like into. So like these April Fool's sets always seem to show up and do well. So Americana. Yeah, Americana. That was the new name. That's right. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
I love keyboards. Can you tell? I am so into keyboards and keycaps.
So with the
Redacted
different
was one. It
Yes.
was one. I'm gonna put quotes around that because like Garrett knew it could work, and that was like a test, right? Like that was gonna happen if anyone liked it mostly.
I think the different board styles, we've seen that as well with like we've seen Mastrop with Red Samurai, right? Where they came out with sets where it's like, hey, this is just enough. So if you get our alt for our board,
boards, right?
For our board, you can pick up this. I would love to see if we can start pumping out these the Bauer Light, right? How dope would it be that at any point in time you could get a Bauer Light and 8008 and or 8008 or Redline or Dual Shot or Redacted, any of the sets by him? How dope would that be? Where it's like, okay, I'm only going to order enough for this. Mm-hmm. So it's like you pick, you get that one, and then some people have a little bit, it's just a small kit that would fit 2 or 3 different layouts of the Bauer.
The Exent did that. The Exent had a like black on black GMK set with the board.
Yeah.
Well, it was like an
add-on.
Orange. It was like an orange on black, right?
Is it? Yeah,
because there was some black on black.
Was it Skidata?
It was like Skidata, right? Like
GMK stuff. Yeah. So I would actually like that, where there's some sets where they're just kind of like, hey, this is the aesthetic. You can go from here to here.
You know what?
That would be cool.
Another hot take: the Exent was the fucking Wu-Tang of the keyboard hobby. Like, you put all the big fucking designers together and did a thing, and you know what? Years later, you look back and you're like, that actually fucking slaps. At the time, you're like, what the fuck is happening?
I think the problem with that board is that they got all the big designers together to do something, and then all of them were like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like they kind of noped the fuck out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I love that board. I think it's great. And you can ask Neflock specifically about it, because this was one of his favorite boards.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the camel of keyboards. It's literally the camel of keyboards.
Oh, listen, I'm not disagreeing, Mr. Typebeast.
Oh, there's
like my man Ken. I'm not disagreeing. You're not wrong. But
wrapping up this question, or this keycap designer month. So I appreciate you for coming on, because I totally procrastinated and
no, it was me. I requested to be the first one on very late. It actually was my fault.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry for that. Totally. My fault, you guys. I'm sorry.
So my my last question is, we ask this every year, we're in such a weird part of keycap design. What is the advice you would give the person who's wanting to dip their toes in keycap design?
Okay.
What? Here, I'll let you think on that, because we gotta do sponsor thing.
That's good. So, thank you. Saving me again, Dave. Saving me again.
I do what I can. So we got, you can go to mexondeck.omnitype.com, Symbiote, last couple days for it. So be sure to check that out. We also have candidkeys.com/mexondeck. We have GMK Foundation running a very cool keycap set. There's also, you can pick up the Anubis switches that we've been talking about, the set that Eric and I put, our keycaps, switches. That's what they're called. Switches that Eric and I made. Eric made. I just kind of told him, hey, make it opaque on top. But you can pick all that up at candykeys.com/mexondeck. You can go to mexondeck.project.link. GMK Bingsu Round 2 is live. Go pick it up. It's an amazing set. And they've got lots of cool stuff over there as well. And then, of course, kineticlabs.store/mexondeck. They've got their new polycaps whale keycaps are coming very soon. And if you're getting Anubis switches and you want to unlock the full potential of them, 69-gram symmetrical springs from Kinetic Labs will do that. And my throat is dry, so I will let you take the rest.
So I'll give a quick shout out to our partners, Zap Cables. Head on over to zapcables.com. Pick yourself up a DIY kit or a desk mat. Type Beast is in the chat, but go to typebea.st. Sign up for their newsletter. Puts out some good information on things happening in the hobby, because it is basically impossible to stay up with everything that happens. You can get some cool information there in a nice tight-knit package in that newsletter. And then smithrune.com, you can head on over there, and I believe they might still have some GMK Cafe Uggs over there. That was a thing.
They got some swag, dudes.
They're swagged out.
They got swag.
I got my tracks. I got my runners. They're comfy.
I saw you rocking the Smith and Rune hat. I
love
stream.
that fucking gray hat, dude. I love that hat. It's so good.
Yeah. So definitely go check that out, as well as you want to stay up to date with what's happening with them, because they're going to be doing some new boards, they're doing cool stuff with their boards soon. So including polycarb, as well as maybe some other things. So be on the lookout for that with the 165 and the 180. And then last but not least, 3D Keebs. Davis the Great, who runs this site. And he's been helping out. Go put him to work and go buy stuff. They've got lots of things. They got lube, they got switches, they got stabs. They got big ass mouse pads, which is by far the best name for desk mats in the community. So yeah, go check it out.
The last couple days of DSS Carpentina. Can we get packed by Dave stamps?
Ooh.
If your label is like kind of crooked,
you should.
There was one 100% that I messed up, and I didn't want to have to reprint the label, and it's on like at an harsh angle.
You should.
And I really hope
Davis.
I really hope someone's like gets that.
Davis, you need to get packed by Dave stamps and charge like an additional like a decent markup. And then just profit, dude. Just
Paper Dave shoes. Yeah, right? God, I want some new shoes, man. Shoes are expensive. So,
69
cents. There it is. The question at hand is, for new designers of all ages, of all interests in the hobby, what is the advice you would give to someone who is wanting to dip their toes in keycap design?
I feel like everyone would be disappointed if I were short-winded on this, so we're going long-winded on this. I have 5 main points. I will go through them quickly. First of all, know the community. If you're going to design a key set for the community, understand it. So my brother, that Clifford Mao, in chat actually reminded me of this. He screamed, no more anime sets. There are a lot of sets that are inspired by anime, and the community seems saturated by them. Maybe don't have that be your first set. Okay? Like, know the community. What do they want? What are the profiles they like, etc. Tip number 1, know the community. 2, don't be afraid of the community. And what I mean by that is you will have fucking cunts in your comments, okay? And I'm sorry if that word triggers people. They suck. This looks like that. Why did you do this? These colors are bad. I hate this inspiration. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of really positive people, but at the same time, those fuckers are going to exist. Don't be afraid of them. They don't matter. Okay? There's somebody scared in some little room, okay? As long as people are interacting with the set in a positive way, ignore the negatives. However, sometimes there's a nugget of truth in them. Don't be afraid of these people, okay? 3, support small creators if you can, okay? So if there is someone that has maybe never done renders or is learning to do renders or has done renders but hasn't been on a big set before, whatever. If there's someone who is charging less for a service that is typically very expensive, it might not be because of quality, it might be because of notoriety. You never know when your set is going to be the next Olivia, when your set is going to be the next Dots, when you're going to be a shocker like GMK. I thought 250 sets was going to be the thing. We bought 1,500 the first time. Okay. So the people that do your renders or whomever helps with artwork, that might be their ticket into a career. Okay. So try and support small creators, specifically marginalized creators if you can. People of color, people outside of the cishet white male realm that I exist in. Okay. Point number 4, buy physical color samples. Buy the color sample you want to use. Oh, I want to use this Pantone. Buy it. It's like $12. Okay. And if you can't buy it, buy the book. It's like $40. And there is some money associated with this. Not to gatekeep it. You need a physical color sample to match to. Okay. And 5, use keyboard layout editor for your lay flats, especially when you're starting. Unless you're good with Illustrator or like some kind of vector program, like a Figma or an Adobe Illustrator, use KLE. It's your friend. It's easy to move your key maps. It's easy to do that. If you don't want to pay for lay flat Keyset design, but you want your stuff rendered on a board, that's a way to save money and still show that you have an idea of what your whole set can be, okay, when you go to IC. So those are my 5 entry things. So.
Oh.
Sorry, I just rambled, but those are the 5 big ones for me. Dave, are you muted?
I'm muted. That's what we want, man. Well, thank you very, very much for coming on the show.
Guys, I will come on anytime you want me to. Like, I am an attention hoe. That's what Jeff is. Hello. So, yes. YC, thank you for saying that. That's very kind of you.
So, guys, this Saturday I will be building a Bakaneko 60 at noon. So I lubed up the switches today. I'm gonna try the Neapolitans lubed. I thought I was not going to, and I was like, screw it, Gucci Lang.
Listen, they said the slides alone are an inspiration. They must see them. Gucci, proof.
When do we get Gucci by Lang, a keycap set inspired?
Who wants to own
by
a yellow
spending.
keycap set? Holy God, the ostentatiousness. Okay, like no.
Can that be the name of the set? Gucci Lang, a set inspired by frivolous spending.
I love it. And then next week, guys, we have don't remember, but I'll announce it Saturday.
Remember?
I believe it is it's not Neflock. I'll talk about Saturday.
All right.
I don't know who it is.
Shout out to Don't Remember.
Be me.
It's just Lang.
Shout out to Don't Remember. Yeah. Melonica is the end of the month though, so come hang out for then. And Neflock's gonna be sandwiched in there somewhere.
Bone and Bee. There it is.
There we go. Yes, GMK Foxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
Fox. Dude, I think it's just
Liz
Fox,
fucking rules. You guys are gonna love her. She's so great.
I knew it was Liz, but I didn't want to say her name.
Oh, this is me. I dox everybody. You want all the names? You want all the names? I got them.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
I got them.
So last night people asked,
Tim,
why did we?
Right. Liz is great.
Why did we switch? Why did we switch to using our real names? It's because we can't keep having Lang on and go by not our real names because he just calls us Eric and Dave.
He calls me David.
And he calls you David, which your dad doesn't even call you David.
My dad doesn't call me David.
I've only heard you call David
Charles,
by once.
Charles, back it down, okay?
Like my mom and
Patrick,
an old
I
friend
do
of
love the
mine.
fact that we can't remember as well, okay? Come on. Ellie, don't. Of course I'm going to dox you. Come on.
All right, let
Come
me
on.
find. Let me
Susan,
find-
shout out to Don't Remember. Of course. Okay.
We're going off the rails here.
We're gonna raid basic.
Ooh,
So
Vin. Hi, Vin. Yes. I love it.
setting that up. So
All right. Well, we're
I love you
closing up
guys.
shop.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back Saturday at noon. Come hang out. Chewy's building a Baka Neko.
Ben, you're not just goat. You're Ben. Come on. Come on. Come on.
We're gonna
That's
get out of here before Lang doxes more people.
Apex.
Bye bye.